Thank you, Dr. Vijay Kumar Rai, giving a very exhaustive discussion of the publication of research papers. I was listening to his deliberation and enjoying a lot, but several challenges in writing papers, in publishing papers, and particularly the originality of the paper. He also discussed about the impact factor and the publication of papers, once he said, should be made solely on the basis of the merit of the scholar. Yes, no doubt about that. The originality of the paper depends on the original thinking of the writer. The audience, the scholars, particularly the young scholars, might have got many of the advices given by Professor Rai, how to be genuine in the publication of papers. But the interesting thing is that one of the scholars came here putting the question, the role of GPT, AI in the collection of data. I wouldn't say only the collection of data, even in writing the whole paper. Nowadays, it's a challenge. The challenge to the creativity. What AI does, what GPT does, is all collecting information from the available sources, but nothing to create new. The innovative ideas GPT cannot make. The new idea, that is what a research paper aims at, cannot be procured through AI. As a supervisor of many of the scholars, recently I have come across many of the writings by my scholars. And while going through the papers or even the writings on PhD thesis, I could get many of the things repeated again and again. Even the phrases, the structures, I couldn't think the scholars have done that. Because the same phrase repeated in another context. I remember my days as a scholar. If you are writing honestly, the phrases would change, the ideas would come up, something new, maybe something repeated from the memories. That is likely. So repetition is all the GPT makes. That's my understanding. I may be wrong, you can correct it. So Professor Rai is a very serious challenge in writing research papers. And you can't help. You can't avoid AI help, GPT help. Yes, deliberately you can avoid, but when it is open to the scholars, they do take help. And being a supervisor, I only advise them, but I I can't dictate them. That's the helplessness on the part of the supervisor. Perhaps the idea of plagiarism, which is very much nowadays discussed, and many of the universities, if not other universities in Bihar, at least Bhagalpur University, 3, 4, 5 years ago, started plagiarism check. Yes, central universities and all important universities of the country, they have already started that long ago. But when it comes to plagiarism, plagiarism is avoided by artificial intelligence. I don't know. Repetition is there. But one of my scholars said, sir, in my writing there won't be even more than 5% plagiarism. Because this checking, which is done by Turnitin or other devices to check plagiarism. So that is another challenge. How to check plagiarism. The quotations made through GPT and AI are made in a manner correctly that plagiarism check cannot treat it as plagiarized materials. But the originality, as I was talking about, the creativity, AI can write a poem. But the poem written through AI cannot have the originality and the creativity that a poet commands. The original poem. And you also talked about peer-reviewed journal, the impact factor, and also you talked about how Indian research papers are not cited as something. These are all challenges, right? Because Indian knowledge system, as you talked about. But any research going into the ancient texts or ancient beliefs cannot be accepted easily world over. Because the originality in research demands something new. So I must thank Professor Rai for making a discussion over an issue which is very much relevant in the academic world. And I hope the young scholars might have got some idea. You could have also added much to the citation processes where the scholars get sometimes confused. That could have been helpful for the scholars also. The documentation. It is all documentation that matters when it comes to plagiarism. Wrong documentation, improper documentation might lead to the percentage of plagiarism in a research work or paper. That is also one of the things the scholars must take into consideration while publishing. Yes, you also mentioned about the American idea of 60s, publish or perish. In India, this is now. If you do not publish, you do not get promotion. So publication for promotion has led many of the publications of substandard. Perhaps UGC might not have thought. So promotion related to publication and appointment related to publication has brought the scholars to that wrong basket of getting things published somehow or other. As you said, UGC care list has been withdrawn. Now it's open for the scholars to publish anywhere. That's one of the challenges in course of publishing papers. There are many things. I must again thank him for raising some of the very issues in the publication of papers and the challenges. Thank you very much.